Hello. Hello.
But if you can drop a thumbs up in the chat box. We're about 21 of us here, and in our usual customary fashion, we do not like keeping us waiting. However, we know some of our members are still trying to connect, both within and outside the country. So let's please give them a few more minutes to join us. About 80 of us should be on this call, and we wouldn't want anyone to miss out on the exciting and educative package you have lined up for us today. So with your kind permission, please let's just wait a couple more minutes and we'll get the ball rolling. Once again, thank you so much for being here.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I guess we can kickstart the event now. Welcome once again to the Amuwo District webinar, monthly webinar. As we have all come to realize, this is Amuwo's own bit of upskilling our respective professional skill. At a token, we are equally entitled to 5 ICAN MCPD structured credit hours. So outside, educating us, enlightening us, equipping our skills, we're able to more or less like ramp up the available credit hours. We have two, interesting and understanding facilitators for this month's event. This month's event, we've targeted attaining global visibility through audit engagement. We have two, erudite members of the Institute, and the name of Mr. Emmanuel Ogunjumo, who will be taking us on audit engagement issues and challenges, and Mrs. Onyeka Mara Kate, who will be taking us on the topic, the Chartered Accountant Global Visibility. During the intro, we would make the synopsis of their presentation. As we all know, the chairman would, I just want to set the house rules before I allow the chairman to declare the event open. Once the chairman declared the event open, we have our anthems, we have the opening address from the chairman. There's going to be slight amendments to the arrangement of the facilitators. For obvious reasons, our second presenter, as we advertised in the flyer, will be the one to present first, while Mr. Emmanuel will come in after. Our modus operandi is allowing the facilitators to run through their presentation, the first and then the second. After the second presentation, we'll take questions. So for any of you that have questions from the first presenter, immediately after the second presenter, that's when we'll be taking questions. The questions will run for about 30 minutes. And if we have more questions that we can accommodate within the time that we have allotted, we will collate those questions and then send them to our facilitators, who will provide responses, and we will eventually send them across to those that we couldn't attend to on the call. And we don't intend taking much of our time because we know Saturday is a busy day. We all have some other things and we don't want to keep it here longer than necessary. So by 12, the rest assured that all of us will probably be out of here. So without wasting more of our time, let's bring in the chairman to declare the event open. Chairman, over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. Michael Alatishe, FCA, our erudite moderator. Can we all hear me and can we see me?
Yes, we can hear you. Let me stop sharing, at least for now, so at least people can see you. Yeah,
okay.
You can.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. And once again, good morning, everyone. And thank you for being here. We sincerely appreciate each and every one of us for making out the time on the last Saturday of each month to join us on this our ICAN Amuwo and District webinar. The moderator, Mr. Michael Alatishe, had already giving us a preamble as to what we'll be doing today. So I wouldn't want to take too much of our time. As we know, our time and our word is our bond when it comes to ICAN Amuwo and District Society. After all, we are the vanguard of integrity. So we intend to start now, and hopefully before or on 12 noon, we'll be wrapping up. Please sit back and be rest assured that the facilitators has been specially chosen to ensure that we gain the benefits of this particular topic. And I'm sure we'll have a wonderful time within the next 2 hours or thereabouts. On behalf of myself, the entire executive committee of ICAN Amuwo and District Society, and the entire membership, I hereby declare this October webinar open. Thank you very much. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for that welcome opening, declaring the event open. Please stand by for your opening remark after we have played the ICAN and the national anthem, which is the custom as we have. So the national anthem now. So next we have the ICAN anthem.
Let's go, ICAN fount of treasure in triumph of honor raised, standing stronger in harmony, building a land together. Dreams of a founding fathers, we are striving to attain our counting values that we share through all ages we sustain. Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. Noble ICAN, your accuracy we cherish. We uphold your integrity.
Yeah, now that we have the anthems out of the way, we then move on to our opening prayer, which will be the second stanza of our old national anthem. So you all can recite with me as we all go along. O God of creation, direct our noble course. guide our leaders right, help our youth the truth to know, in love and honesty to grow, and living just and true, greatly loved height attain to build a nation where peace and justice shall reign. Thank you all for following me on that. We now call on the chairman, who is to give us his opening address before we go into the main meal for the day. Over to you, chairman, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Michael Alatishi, FCA, wonderful moderator. We sincerely appreciate you. Good morning, professional colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Permit me especially to appreciate all our elders in the building. I can see them joining from various district societies, both within and outside the country. We are very, very grateful for making out the time to be here today. I wouldn't want to bore us with a lengthy statement. What I would just like to say is a big thank you for staying consistent with us. We know it takes a lot for people to give out their time, more so their resources, and we sincerely appreciate you. Just a quick information before we start. I know quite a lot of us reached out to our team during the September period, wondering why there was no webinar. That was actually because we had to quickly key into the Western Zonal plans. So going forward, our webinar would be coming up twice every quarter. The last month of the quarter will be reserved for the zone. But be rest assured that all our programs that we have in ICAN Amuwo and District Society will continue to send them to your email since you're already in our database, and all the respective credit hours that are due to it, you'll definitely be getting them. Without further ado, permit me to say a big thank you to our wonderful facilitators who are already here. They've been here way before we even started. That's Madam Onyeka Amara Kate, who is the Senior Special Assistant on IGR Technical Matters to the Anambra State Governor, and Mr. Emmanuel Ogunjumo, both FCAs. Mr. Ogunjumo is the Senior Manager at Deloitte, and they'll be talking on a concept that we've woven together, which means attaining global visibility through audit engagements. Believe me, the next 1 hour, 30 minutes is packed full. Like I always advise us, let's come prepared with our pen and our paper so that we can easily jot things down, even though we are still going to be getting the recorded version of this webinar. So once again, thank you so much for being here, and have an amazing session. Well, thank you so much. Over to you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you, Chairman, for that eloquent speech. Thanks for that information you provided relating to how the district's webinar will be ongoing. So while Mrs. Amara Onyeka prepare herself, Madam, you can start sharing your screen and prepping. I will use the opportunity to give you an intro. And once the intro is concluded, you can commence with your presentation. Mr. Onyeka Kamara is the current SSC on internal generated revenue on technical matters to the governor of Anambra State. She commenced her professional career with Ogun State Internal Revenue Service, and thereafter moved on to Lagos State Internal Revenue Service, where she was for 11 years and rose up to the tax manager position before her recent political appointment. She's a fellow of ICAN and CITN, and an associate member of Women in Business and Public Service, WIMBIS. She's a graduate of accounting from University of Nigeria, Nsukka, and has a master's degree in corporate finance from Babcock University in Ogun State. She has over 15 years experience in audit, accounting, finance, and equally a mentor, mother, and wife, and advocate for gender-related issues, and lectures on part-time basis as a matter of passion. She's active in various non-governmental organizations, and holds a position of team lead for management information subjects for ICAN examinations, and a subject matter expert for SMEs in taxation as well, and equally a contributing development member of MCPD, where this is one of the areas where she's currently serving, to provide us with her expertise. She will be delivering the topic on the chartered accountant and global visibility, and we have around for the next 30 minutes. You can start up, Madam Onyeka.
Thank you so much, our erudite moderator, Mr. Michael, my colleague and friend. I haven't seen you in over a year. I hope everyone can hear me.
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
Okay, beautiful. Good morning, my professional colleagues and our FCAs, because if you are not a chartered accountant, you are still a friend of chartered accountants. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are joining us from, because I know that a lot of people are joining us from across the world. So like Mr. Michael said, my name is Oyeka Amara. And this morning we'll be interacting, not like I'm going to be teaching or lecturing in that capacity, but we'll be interacting around chartered accountants and global visibility. While we were preparing to start off, something came to my mind. Why do we go to church for we that are Christians, or why do we go to the mosque for the Muslim brothers and sisters? It's not like we haven't heard all the preaching that the imam or the pastor or the reverend has been giving us all these years, but sometimes we go back to get fresh anointing, to get fresh inspiration, to re-hear the things that we have heard so that it can, solidify in our minds. So the reason why I said that is because I know that a lot of us are potential and even full-blown global brands, but it's important that we re-emphasize some of these things just in case you miss one thing or the other and you are able to pick it up in this conversation. So, but then it's been said that there won't be any questions until the end of the two presentations. But while I go on with my presentation, please help me note down those areas that you want us to have interactions on. So I will begin, because my assignment is very simple, to speak to us chartered accountants and FCAs about global visibility. And I will make an example, a very quick example before I proceed. I know that in the medical world, for example, right now, when you talk about maybe a doctor that is reasonably prominent, who will come to your mind is a Aproko doctor. And he's not like the oldest doctor in Nigeria or the youngest, but there is something that he has done in his career, even as a medical doctor, that has put him in that map, or that has registered him in the minds of people. And then you also, in the medical scene, you see some people who are thinking of flying doctors, given the fact that doctors will not always be on ground when there are issues and might not get to emergencies because of the way that our society is built up. So a lot of people are actually thinking without the box. This time around, they're not thinking outside the box, they're thinking without the box. So we get to see in the course of my presentation what it will take us to remain visible. For those of us who are not yet, what it will take us to become visible. So it's more very interesting and interactive. So stay tuned. So what do we expect to take from this presentation? So much, but not so much, because I'm only giving just 30 minutes. So we look at, we're going to put perspective to this conversation this morning. And as well, we look at chartered accountant and global positioning, which we call visibility, what we need to do, what we need at this time as chartered accountants. Then we also look at some accountants who have actually grown in our eyes. Now, the reason why I use that word in our eyes is because by the time we get to that portion of the slide, you see that the majority of them are in our age bracket, those in their maybe middle 40s or late 40s, those in their 50s and 60s. So they are reasonably in our age bracket. And probably some of you can remember when they started their career. So we look at some chartered accountants have actually done something different and has grown in our eyes. Then we also look at the organizations who have failed to adapt, what possibly happened to them, whether they were able to survive the times or not. And that will just more like put us on our toes to make sure that we are reasonably moving on with the moving world. Then we also look at areas where the money is. I'm sure everybody's interested in this part. We want to see where the money is. Then what chartered accountant needs to do. I also want to know what chartered accountant needs to do. So we begin. Now, in those days, when you talk about accountants, that word accountant, you say, I'm an accountant. Even before you say a chartered accountant, there are a few things that come to the mind of people. They say, okay, maybe you are the one who is calculating the taxes of your company. You are the one who is doing the cost accounting, the budgeting, the variance analysis. They are just very key things that come to the mind of people when they hear that word accountant. Maybe they say you are the one who is controlling the finances of the organization. Moderator, you can always help me check the chat rooms and take note of people raising their hands if they are permitted to do so, or people dropping comments. They can't hear me for whatever reason. People are dropping comments in the chat. Just let me know what's going on in the chat, Mr. Moderator. Thank you. And then you also see that that word accountant brings to mind data collection and recording, company control finances. But the questions that I want to throw to us today is this, with respect to the word accountant. I know those days, probably before I was born, or, thereabouts in the 70s, in the early 80s, or stuff like that, you will see that accountants were the keepers of information of companies. Like any information you want from a company, obviously we go to the accounting department or the accountant's office to get information about whatever it is around that company. But today, you and I know that the information that matters to companies are no longer in the hands of accountants. And you ask why. I'm sure nobody has paid attention to that. I'm happy that one of our presenters after me is one of the Big Fours. He's from Deloitte, if I heard correctly. He will also probably make comments when it's his time to speak to the fact that it is not really we accountants at this time that are in charge of the information that really matter to organizations. Probably they are the data analysts that have it, or the software engineers that have the key important information that companies need to run their businesses. So you wonder why, at what point did those information leave our hands into the hands of these kind of people? Because the honest truth is, I remember when there were some regulations in Nigeria saying that every organization must provide 1 or 2 people who will be responsible for the data of that organization. As at that time, I was still in LRS, that was like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, that every organization must provide individuals who they will hold accountable for maybe if the information of that organization leaks to the public or something bad happens to the data of the people that they are serving in the hands of that company. When such a regulation came to fore, what happened at my office, for example, was the fact that the people they provided were, one, the head of IT, LRS, and some 2 more team members from IT. It wasn't myself who is an accountant, and after that time, I was holding a very important position in the office. It wasn't some other chartered accountant who was scattered across departments. So you see that gradually, some of those responsibilities, traditional responsibilities that we used to have, are maybe being refined and taken off our hands, or gradually just slipping away from us. So you wonder why? Now, you don't really need to wonder too much, because the nature of expectations from the business environment has drastically changed. Those days it used to be, okay, let me just know the records, what came in, what went out, what are the spoilages, what are the percentage spoilage, and all those simple kind of data that you can use to manage your day-to-day running of your business. But now it seems like it has advanced to the point of businesses wanting to know how performances are managed and how performances are measured. They just want to see that every single thing is adding value. For example, a company that used to have like 30 personnel might at the same time, shred down to like 10 people, making 1 person to do the job that ordinarily 5 people could do in the past. Now, it's not like that person is seemed to be overburdened, but maybe the nature of that work has been compressed such that, 1 person can do the job of 3 people in less than 30 minutes. So organizations are more focused now on performance management and performance measurement. And those are very critical things to them, because constantly organizations are also looking at what could be their critical success factors. What could be our critical success factors? Or what are critical success factors? Now, those critical success factors are linked to the objective of the organization. So say, for example, a company say they want to be the best in Africa. They want to be able to be profitable, make profit that will be enough for their stakeholders or their shareholders. They want to be sure that customers are getting their satisfaction. Now, if these are main objectives and they are sub-objectives, they must create critical success factors that must match those objectives. So what basically they're looking for, what are those key performance indicators that we make sure that they constantly measure their critical success factors. So you can see that the role of accountants, if we must continue to remain in the scheme of things, have greatly been altered to require us to do more than just keeping records and giving simple analysis. And then you also see that hold on, I'm trying to maneuver my screen. Okay, so you also see what accounts for such changes. Now, one of the things that actually accounts for such changes is global competitiveness. I will always say, anytime I get opportunity to speak, that competition is for the weak minds, collaboration is for the great minds. But the honest truth is, if we're not able to position ourselves, we'll find ourselves just constantly panicking. Instead of being proactive, we are reactive, we are constantly being put on the edge, and we see ourselves thinking that the problem is ourselves, because you're looking at what A is doing, what B is doing, and you are thrown around and you're trying to find a way to compete, to measure up. So basically what we require because of global competitiveness is the fact that we need to look through what we are doing right. If whatever you're doing right is something that you have passion about, find a way to modify it to be able to stay in the collaboration. Because if you ask me, I feel that we as professionals should be looking at ways to collaborate other than to compete. Although there's no how you do businesses without putting your eyes on what your competitors are doing, because that will tell you whether you're in line, you are in sync with what is going on, or you are not. So because then businesses are also looking at some non-financial data of their business. Gone are those days that businesses are only just focusing on financial matters, because a simple thing as maybe using underage children or using underage to do your business can throw you out of business. Somebody can pick it up, especially those who are into human rights advocacy or something, and say, oh, I see that in the factory of so-so ABC Nigeria Limited or so-so company, 80% of their workers are below 18 or something, and then they begin to, put that in the public, put that in the open. That can throw your business off. So a time has come where businesses are no longer looking at their financials alone. They are also looking at their non-financials. They're also looking at what is happening externally, other than just what is happening internally. A lot of innovations are also throwing businesses to go that route, even though sometimes they have no choice but to go that route. But innovations, and then the fact that once in a while you look at what is obtainable in your industry or in the cross industry to be able to benchmark and be sure that you are doing the right thing. One of the basic reasons why there's this huge change in the role that we can play is technological advancement. You know that, for example, when you go online, when you go to some of these social media apps and you're searching for something, so say I'm searching for a firm that can render me accounting services. In the next 5 minutes, what you see is that app begins to throw up other accounting service providers to your screen. Now, what happens is that there's a machine learning or there's some data analytics going on at the background that is being able to throw up some of those things to your face. So you no longer need the accountant to go to the market, physical market, to do market survey. Remember those days they say, okay, we are going on market research, we want to introduce one of our new products. Probably you go and do survey, or you go and take, go and check what is going on at the market to be sure that when you bring that new product to that particular market or that particular region, it can sell. Right now, what they just to do is do a lot of, off human analysis through robotics, machine learning, and whatever it is, to be able to advance in the product and services that they want to render. So obviously, if you are waiting, we as accountants, if we are waiting until the world is able to carry us along in our traditional roles, we might be missing it, because technology is fast moving things forward. Then you also see organizational structures. Right now, you and I know that a lot of organizations do not need to.
A couple of years ago, you wrote.
I need to go back. Hold on. You see that you and I don't need to have a physical office to be able to do our business, which is the honest truth. I'm trying to maximize so that it stays in presentation mode. Okay, apologies for that. So you see organizations who are completely not physical. So organizational structure has also altered our role as accountants. Unlike those days, you have to dress up every morning, go to your office, turn on your AC, wait for people to come and say, your accountant, we need social record, MD is calling you, this and that. You find organizations that completely are not even physical anymore. So our role are gradually or even drastically have changed, making the ordinary role of accountant almost what? Non-existent. So there's a small clip I want to play. Now, that clip speaks to the fact that, those days you ask children, what do you want to be when you grow up? But I want to disabuse our minds after you watch the clip so that you're not thinking that, oh, you don't have to ask children what they want to be when they grow up. That question is still quite relevant because I know that most times why we ask such questions, for example, is just to motivate them towards what we feel might be good for them or call their attention to things that they can possibly become when they grow, depending on the kind of skills or the kind of talent that they display. But what the clip is going to point us to is the fact that some of those things that we are thinking in our head that are still in existence might probably not be there again in the next 5 years or 10 years. Why? Technology is fast springing up on us. There's huge global competition going on. If there's an OPay today, in fact, 2 weeks ago, as I was driving by, I saw something point. And what I saw was the fact that these people are trying to provide the same kind of services that Money Point is providing, but they try to probably alter the name, but there's a point in the name, and then the services are similar. So when you have a great idea, basically, you're not the only one who is conceiving that kind of idea. There was one time I conceived an idea of having like a soft complimentary card, like in a place where you don't have to carry your complimentary card around. That was like 5 years ago or so. Guess what? On getting to the internet, it already existed. So, but what I did to have still been able to sell that my idea was maybe the kind of features I introduced to the one I saw on the internet. So even as we sit here and we're thinking of great ideas in our minds, who knows, it's already existing somewhere. So we're going to listen to this clip and hear what they have to say in that conversation.
Of years ago, you wrote how we need to stop asking kids what they want to be when they grow up. What did you mean by that?
And I know that question is usually asked with the
Can we hear the clip?
Yes, we can.
Okay, that's fine.
intention. But the reality is most of the jobs that a child would see today or answer that question with probably won't exist by the time they are in a working age, or they'll be radically transformed. So instead of kind of setting people up, and it's not for failure, but for the idea that your identity is attached to the job that you do, when we know the future of work is going to be very different, we should be encouraging kids to think more broadly about the problems that they want to solve, because those are more likely to exist than a specific occupation. And especially as technology continues to more rapidly disrupt the workforce, we have to move away from this idea that you are your job, because that's going to change. So if we can start with kids and encouraging them, what are the skills that you want to learn and the problems that you want to solve? And one of the most important skills for the future being critical thinking and imagination. That's something that children are already naturally endowed with. Lean into that.
The curiosity. When you said that, I kind of felt like, oh, I think that's hard for people to hear.
It is, but 15 years ago, the role of a social media manager analyst didn't exist. Now, if a company doesn't have one, you're probably not going to make it. So the trend lines aren't very different. There are significant, whether you're a data analyst, a data scientist, all of these jobs have really come to the forefront in the last decade. And so that's still going to continue going forward. But I think the future always seems a lot more shocking from the present, and especially when we analyze it through the frameworks of the present.
Okay, I'm sure we heard from that conversation very clearly. Okay, let me try to share again.
A couple of years ago, you wrote.
All right, so a few keywords I picked from that conversation was radical transformation. That is basically what's going to happen. I remember when you and I, all of us became chartered accountant, it was the in thing. In fact, at a point, they said, oh, technology was the gap in the knowledge of accountant. They introduced can I remember what that's, TCI or something. Then gradually they also introduced technology in our syllabus. But as the times are moving, a time will come, we just need more than introducing some key things in our syllabus. We just need that radical transformation of what the role of accountants could be or should be, because the honest truth is that the world is not waiting. We're talking about global visibility. You can only be globally visible or visible at all. Let's just remove the word global for now. If you're able to radically change the nature and how you do your thing. It's just ordinary saying, in the first instance, we are accountant. Nobody can take that away from us. But what are you doing? What are we doing to make sure that we remain relevant in these times that is, very speedily changing in our face? Then one of the other keywords I picked up from that conversation is the future of work. You hear it quite often, especially when people give, make presentations or talk at events. You hear the future of work. The future of work will no longer be what it used to be before. Organizations that we are hoping is going to absorb people in terms of employment, we no longer need to absorb, because there are a lot of facilities in their disposal that can do the work that human can ordinarily do. But you ask me if technology or if this advancement is a threat to us, it depends on the perspective. But the general answer I will give is obviously not. It's just for us to find our place, just find our own niche or find our place in the scheme of things around what is going on in the world and technology. So we also look at global visibility. When you ask me, it doesn't sound like, okay, maybe ICAN Amuwo is going to be in World Bank in the next 2 years or something, or where are you now? The place where I am today is not just by being a chartered accountant alone. It involved a lot of hard work. Likewise, for every one of us. I know in the room, I know a lot of people. For us to even be able to get to where we are today, required us to do something unusual, like some other chartered accountants who are just probably qualified, did their inductions, and boom, they went away to do things that are not even close to their profession, which obviously, if you ask me, is still not wrong. But if you're looking at global visibility, it involves your work being noticed, acknowledged, and valued. And then if you listen keenly to that conversation, it's talking about teaching our children to create value to solve problems. Now, it might look like, okay, that clip was just about children, but I was only trying to also bring it to us as adults, as professionals, as those who are already in specific fields. At this point, we shouldn't be looking at what our certificates can offer us, because we are now in a world where your certificate probably might not even open or even near any door at all. You're looking at the value addition that you have. What work are you doing that is noticed, that is acknowledged, that is valued? Then while I was also preparing for this presentation, I said to myself that, do we know that even speaking up in a meeting is creating an avenue for you to be visible? Because, for example, you are a district member, you've been a district member for 15 years and you haven't joined any committee, you haven't volunteered to be in the ESCOs or something, you haven't rendered any service at all for people to notice. You can just well be, a passerby district member, and then when things that matter come up in that district, nobody will be thinking of you. Now, sometimes the reason why we remain in the minds of people more than others is because maybe you have played roles that others weren't able to play, or you have been places that others were not able to be in. So speaking up in the meetings, it might look as simple as it might sound, but the honest truth is you are creating an avenue, you are creating an opportunity for you to remain, to remain easily remembered. Participating in learning opportunities, obviously. There was one time I decided to take up a course, and the course was only being run on a Sunday. Now, when I got there my very first Sunday, you won't believe, half of the adults you think are in their houses watching TV were in that learning ground. So sometimes you think in your head, oh, I'm already a chartered accountant. What else am I going to learn? Or why don't I just let my children go to school? Why am I struggling to go to school or continue to learn? But you find out that learning is something that has to happen for the rest of our lives. So you give yourself opportunity to learn, put yourself in learning mood at all times, because that is one of the things that will help us to continue to remain relevant in whatever niche that we have carved out for ourselves. Then you demonstrate your expertise. Like I said at the beginning of my presentation, a Aproko doctor is one person who has stood out in the medical line. And I said he is not the oldest nor the youngest, but what he did is aside the clinicals that he does, going to the hospital, taking care of patients, he decided to bring that knowledge he has as a medical doctor to the world. Then sometimes I see where people want to maybe talk to a group, maybe a social WhatsApp group. They want to talk to you about OSA or something. They will just go and get a clip of our Proco doctor and put it there. You see him say, Mama Nkechi, this and that. Now, he does this in such a way that he's not just passing the message, but he's passing the message in such a way that he can hear it. He's adding humor. He's calling some names that he can easily be, relate with. And then before you know it, a lot of times I see that what happens is that when maybe international organizations that involves health, when they want to come to Africa, they tend to invite people like him to come and speak to the larger audience, or involve him on some project that involves, probably they need some faces, some medical faces to represent a particular brand or particular event that they are doing. Now, there are 1,001 doctors who might as well even be better than him. But the little knowledge he has, he's not hiding it. He's not keeping it. I know a lot of us here have thousands of potentials if we truly search ourselves and be honest with ourselves. But maybe the only time we hear about your ability to analyze financials is when you're arguing with your co-worker in the office, or when you're arguing with your professional colleagues in district meetings. The only time we know that you know deeply about political matters in Nigeria is when you're arguing about Tinubu and some other things that's going on in government. But you see some other people who will say, oh no, I'm a political analyst. I choose to be invited on TV to talk about it. It might just be something simple that even children will know, but who is able to have that courage to come out to talk about it in a more constructive manner? These are simple ways that we undermine that can possibly put you in the limelight. Now, developing a strategy to set your service apart from the others. You see some organizations, when you come in, they ask you tea or coffee. Yes, we know that things are hard, but these are little things that they do to continue to make their customers happy and retain their customers. Some of us, yes, we say, okay, do you know that, especially when we have ICAN for our activities, you see people saying, do you know what my membership number is? Now, your membership number can be in the thousands, but probably you have not even been able to do anything with that membership number other than saying, oh, do you know what my membership number is? Because probably you're taking pride in how how long ago you've been an accountant, a chartered accountant. So, and then you see yourself as somebody who is too big to volunteer in some activities. Do you know that sometimes volunteering to do something unpaid or just being a part of a course can, easily just put you where you want to be in the future, or where you're aiming to be, growing your network. Some of us, I remember those days, my mentors would say, make sure that when they open your phone, all that is there is probably the name of your maid, the name of your mechanic, probably all the grandmas in your village and stuff like that. That's when you open your device. If you look for an engineer, you should find at least 3 engineers. If you look for a lawyer, you should find at least 3 or 4 lawyers. Not that you save their numbers when you went for a program, but that you know them one-on-one, meaning that you can pick up your phone at any time and call them. When you open your phone, you should be able to find the number of, I don't know, maybe a content creator or a comedian or something, meaning you have to intentionally build your network, because these are some of the things that gives you the opportunity. I remember I used to have a friend in Chamber of Commerce. So one time they were having a program, and they're like, we want to write to the chairman LRS, but we want to specifically suggest that you be the one to attend, since we know you in person. And I said, okay. So when that letter got to my office, chairman asked me, do you know them before now? I said, yes. He asked me how. So I explained that, okay, the CFO who used to be in Nigeria, but no longer here, used to be a friend of mine. I met him in a function, but that was the honest truth, because where I met the guy was in a social function. So when that opportunity came for somebody to represent our office, it happened to me because probably the man I knew is in my social network. So you obviously have to be intentional about growing your network and not just saying, sometimes you don't really need to like a person. For me, I always tell my staff currently that when it comes to work, just make it work. Don't make it personal. When it's 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, take your bag and go and meet your friends. But at work, keep it at work. Because sometimes people actually know that you're good at something, or because you're enemies with virtually everybody, So when opportunities come, they say, no, just leave her alone, or just leave him alone. He's not a friendly person. So you have to be intentional about building your network across all the possible fields and, all the possible value chain so that, you can easily come to mind. They say, where one's product or services stand out in relation to others offering similar products. You see companies who are intentional about how they offer their product. They say this product is strictly luxury products. We don't want to do cheap products. There are some cars that if I mention now, what comes to your mind is pure luxury. They are not Toyota, they're not, and then they know the kind of people that they're focusing on. So if you know who you are and what you want to offer, just focus on the kind of people that you want to offer it to, and then mean business. So when you listen to that clip where the woman was talking about the nature of work, so I decided to bring to us what possibly are the new nature of work. So say like in the next 10 years, these are the kind of names that you hear. You no longer hear, what now? Those names that you're familiar with or that we are familiar with when we're job seekers. You say you want to apply as a junior accountant or accountant 2 or whatever it is. So the nature of work is gradually changing. Even though we are accountants, we are chartered accountants, but we need to begin to modify how we carry our badge as accountants and add some other things to it. So in this new nature of work, you hear things like head of responsible AI, and you wonder, okay, this guy is the head of responsible AI. This person is a renewable energy specialist, especially in this world where we have a lot of natural catastrophes just gulping up the world. So you find people who want to specialize in those areas and tell you, okay, at this time, people in this social location need to relocate because disaster is coming and it's going to be this intense or less intense. You find virtual researchers and case analysts. I have 2 people who are working on a project with me virtually that I haven't even met in the last 1 year, because coming to Anambra also exposed me to the fact that culture will not always be the same across all states. I was born and raised in Lagos. So, even though I'm from Anambra State, but coming to live and work here actually, let me know that there's always this cultural difference and, the way the people and the way the people work. So when I was trying to find the people who can ordinarily do what I was, working on in Lagos and I couldn't find, what I did was to still employ those people, but this time around virtually. So maybe once a month we'll have meetings to be able to talk about strategies, where we are, what we need to do. So time have come where, okay, even though you said, oh, you're a chartered accountant, but you can choose to do other things around accounting in different ways that just, puts you in the map, because the nature of work has completely changed. You find people who are saying content creators. Remember in that clip, the woman says that maybe in the last 10 years, if a company didn't have a content creator or a social media manager, that was no big deal. But big companies these days, you see them rushing to be on social media, having probably a designated department that are into content creating for them and all of that. So those work that I've always used to know have changed, and the way that things are going to be done have completely changed as well. So you see social media managers as new work role, big data analyst, AI and machine learning specialist, virtual assistant, and all of that. Then you also find business intelligence analyst, commercial and industrial designer, cybersecurity manager. I know a lot of accountants, especially the younger accountants, are diving into security, IT, and stuff like that. So maybe in the future, in the next 5 years or 3 years, there will no longer be account managers, there'll be cybersecurity managers, there'll be data managers and stuff. Nobody says we are too old or too young to pick up a new skill, but it's better that we try to pick them up now, other than when we now begin to, react and trying to scrabble for our life and our space in the world. Then you find fintech engineers, video game engineers, YouTubers. You get to see those accountants I said that grow up in our face. One of them is a YouTuber. I'm sure a lot of you do not know. Then you find sustainability specialists and all those other things that cut across what is currently going on in the world. And such names are beginning to create opportunities for new job roles. So now, what do we need to do? We need to upskill. Comfort zones, they say, I'm a chartered accountant, I work for Anambra State government, what else? Nothing else. So we need to somehow gradually leave our comfort zone. A lot of people know me here that I'm not really the talking type. I might not, if I come to a gathering, I might not say anything until the end of the pod. I just realized that my role or the nature of my work requires me that I have to talk now. So I'm also learning to talk, learning to be present when I'm somewhere. Then, so now we have to learn flexibility as accountants. You can't say, oh, I'm a chartered accountant, my membership number is so and so, I can't be dealing with children. Recently, there's also something I learned about embracing diversity in generational differences. I will explain slightly deeper. As we speak, there are some fantastic projects that some of my team members are working on. In that team, we're about 7. 3 out of our team members are less than 25. So one person is 21, the other person is 22, like that. Then you find 1 or 2 people in their mid-40s or so. Now, what happens is that project is faster and we're working on it better with a lot of ideas because these younger ones are technologically inclined and they are faster. In fact, when you are hooked on something, even when you call them 1 p.m., 1 midnight, maybe they are working on a software, they're working on something, they are playing music. It's not like the traditional work, go to work, come back by 5, eat your dinner, watch TV and go to bed. No. So, but I'm encouraging us to take advantage of our generational diversity. Don't say, oh, these children, what are they doing? There was one time I predicted that 2 artists were going to collaborate on a particular song. It wasn't up to 3 weeks that happened. Now, what I see about the artist I mentioned about, which is Tiwa Savage, was what I've noticed about her career is Tiwa is one person, for example, who doesn't look at her age when she wants to collaborate with you. What she looks at is what that collaboration is able to offer her as a professional singer or something. So unlike some other person who say, oh, do you know, I've been singing since 20 years. We want me to come and sing with somebody who just started singing 2-3 years ago. There might be advantage in collaborating with that kind of a person. So we as accountants should look beyond saying, oh, do you know, I've been in this game for 20 years. What does these younger ones have to offer me? They have a lot to offer you. It could just be in the way that you do your work. Sometimes I get stuck with my technology. They are the ones I call. Like this morning, I was fiddling with my computer. I can't remember what happened. It was one of them I called. Said, okay, share your screen. In fact, they even gave me one app that I can use to share my screen. So they will also see my screen wherever they are. So I just clicked on the app and it was seeing my screen and it was able to rescue me. So there are a lot of things that we can pick up as an advantage in our generational differences, other than just, saying that, I've been in this game. What does this one know? So that is what is up now. We have no choice. Then we need very huge change of mind. Some people will tell you that when they relocated to the US or relocated to Canada, they had a lot of cultural shocks in the way that maybe the people there associate with you. Or like in Nigeria, if I just go outside my gate now, I'll find my neighbor and begin to gist with him or her, talk about anything. In fact, I can even say, can you follow me to the market? The person follows you. But when you go to advanced countries, you might probably not find your neighbors in the next 6 weeks. You don't even know who they look like. So you'll be forced to fix your gas yourself. When you buy furniture, you fix it yourself. If you're not able to fix it yourself, or like in Nigeria, when you buy furniture, the furniture company will follow you to your house to fix it. But over there, you buy your furniture from the stores, you go home. If you're not able to fix it, that means you have to call another company that fixes furniture to come and set it up for you. So there's a lot of mindset that we need to change, of mindset that we need to have at this time because of the criticality of what, we find ourselves in the world. So, and then, what did I say again? Comfort zone. Nothing ever stays and, grows in our comfort zone. So those are traditional ways of doing things. Those are 9 to 5. A lot of people have 9 to 5. There's nothing wrong with that, but they have grown their lives and their businesses beyond 9 to 5. So they say you work for your employer between 8 o'clock and 5. And then if you're not able to work for yourself between 5 and 10 o'clock, maybe you're not motivated. So as much as we go to work and work for government or work for our companies, but we should be able to fine-tune ourselves in terms of probably upscaling your speaking skills or whatever it is that you have passion about. So now, what are those side hustles? You'll be shocked at the number of people who are in very heavy professions. Like I always give that example of medicine, who are in bigger professions like engineering and stuff, who have say, okay, aside the fact that I'm an engineer, what other thing can I do? So those side hustles that look like, or maybe when you come back from work, you go to the market to use your vehicle to carry passengers, you might not need to. You might just be in the comfort of your house, be a content creator, be a podcaster, do some virtual assignment. I know somebody who doesn't leave his house. All he does is to take instrument lessons. I don't know, maybe he has a software that has those instruments, or he has a physical instrument in his house, but he just sets up his room, put all the instruments, and probably has a software that guides the student on how to use the instrument. That's what he does full time. And don't mix it up. He's a graduate. Like, he graduated with a 2-1, he went to a private university, but he's that confirmed to me that the amount of money that young boy makes in a month, there is no company in Nigeria that can pay him that much, because some of the children he takes on those instrumentals are outside the country. So obviously their parents pay in hard currencies. So there are 1,001 things that we can take up this time around as accountants to be our side hustle. Now, I brought the story of this Stanley Cup because the things that made us know about this Stanley Cup is something that nobody could imagine. I'm sure a lot of us have seen this cup in the supermarket, or we have it in our houses, or we have seen somebody who is using this Stanley Cup. Now, this cup is made by a drinking ware company called Stanley, right? And the Stanley company is owned by William Stanley Jr. They said this cup has been in existence, or has been one of the products of Stanley for years. And basically what they do is they take it to maybe sporting companies, or take it to Olympics to give it out as maybe as a gift, or where the athletes drink from. And over the years, for more than many years, it wasn't selling. But something happened in 2017 when a lady who owns a blogging company with her blogging mate saw it in a supermarket. When they saw it, maybe something drew their attention to the cup. It looked very fascinating, and they said, this cup is very nice. We can probably buy it and give it out as a gift, and then put it in our blog to make it more popular so that people can buy it. So what they did was to buy a reasonable quantity of this cup, started giving it out as a gift, and then put it in their blog, made it slightly popular through their blog, and people started buying it. So in weeks, they sold over 5,000 pieces of it. So gradually they went back to buying more. Now, as they were doing that through their blog, giving it as a gift and selling through their blog, it was becoming more and more popular, even though they didn't know anything about the company that manufactures this Stanley Cup. So gradually, I don't know how they got to hear that the makers of this particular product want to take it down because it wasn't a profitable product or brand of Stanley Company. So they approached the manager in that company to say, we'll be selling this cup and it's gaining popularity. Why do you guys want to take it down? They said for years that this cup has been part of their product. It has not been selling, and they want to close that line of operation. So the lady said, okay, can we talk to your CEO? Who can we talk to just to convince them that we can make this cup popular? The man said it's too late because it's more than 50 years, the cup has not made any progress. So what they now did was to challenge themselves to go and buy more and more of this cup from their stores, put it in other blog sites, and get it to go viral. So when the CEOs learned that this cup has gone viral, and that if you put, for example, 5,000 pieces of it in a supermarket, it finishes in some hours. So they invited them and said, okay, what did you do different? Because this is a product we've had in our product line for years and it wasn't making profit. And they said all they did was to use affiliate marketing or influencer marketing to sell it. So we might have a product, or we might have a firm or something that we're doing as accountants, and it hasn't been selling for years. It's not like that particular product in itself is bad, but maybe the method or the way you've been selling all these years has not been what the target market has been needing from you. Might just need to change just innovate around what you offer, the kind of services that you render. It might just need slight innovation for you to be able to sell it. So as we speak, this Stanley Cup has given that Stanley Company a revenue that they haven't seen in the history of that Stanley Company in 3 years. So meaning that between 2021 and date, this Stanley Cup has sold in millions across the world. Even Nigeria, in fact, there are some people who say, oh, they are Stanley dealers and all they sell is Stanley Cup. Because if you put it in a supermarket, it sells out in 5 minutes. Last week, when we did some school program, so when we were talking about what gift to give the children, somebody said Stanley Cup. In fact, that was what made it even stick more in my mind. I said I was going to bring it to our presentation today. So it actually shows me that a simple strategy or maybe changing the way that you do something can just put you, in the global scheme of things. And then we'll move on to those people I said who are accountants that grew in our eyes. I'm sure every single one of them here, you know them. The most popular of all the four faces is Taiwo Yedele. I'm always very fascinated talking about him because I'm sure maybe very few of us knows that as we speak, he's a professor. He's the one I said, one of the people who grew in our eyes is a YouTuber. Yes, Taiwo has a YouTube channel, even though he's an accountant. And do you know that there is a level to which your YouTube can grow and YouTube begins to pay you? I'm sure if Taiwo is not very, very busy with his presidential assignment, you'll be earning lots of dollars from YouTube because his audience have grown drastically. Taiwo has a foundation that he runs. Taiwo has a mentorship, how will I say it now? Like he has an avenue to do mentorship, whether it's at a paid level or free level. But I know that when you talk about people who have actually grown in our faces, the honest truth is Taiwo did. Because I remember those days when maybe the federal government, there's a new law or something. One of the things I do is to go and read the way Taiwo has interpreted it for us, not the document that they have sent to us. I believe every one of us too can testify to that. I belong to tax faculty of ICAN. And there was a time Taiwo used to be the chairman of that faculty for years. So when there's a new law or something, what he does is to interpret it in the way that everybody can easily grasp what that law or what that act is saying. And they put it in the group. Before you know it is circulated to other WhatsApp groups and across other professional groups. Now, you asked me, Taiwo was just ordinary staff for PwC, but what did he do different? The things he knew or the things that he knows, he didn't keep it to himself. He kept talking about them, either doing a video talk about it and post it on social media, or he gets invited to talk about those simple things that you and I also knew. So gradually, Taiwo has grown to become that brand that once you mention in our profession, nobody will tell you they don't know Taiwo. Even students even know Taiwo more than we that are his professional colleagues. So, I mean, why not? And recently, I got to realize that Obi Ezekwesili is a chartered accountant. I never knew. When I was looking at her profile, one of the things I saw is that she's a chartered accountant and economic analyst. She has also tried her hands in politics, tried her hands in advocacy, tried her hands in several things. So for you to gain that visibility or for you to, just occupy your space, your rightful space. You can't just keep quiet. You can't just not afford to do, things that will put you where you want to be. Chioma also used to be a staff of PwC, and along the line, I can't remember how long she was in PwC, but gradually she resigned from PwC to create a company that she calls Accounting Hub. She said that her company was created as a result of the fact that, majority of the big fours or major accounting firms will always provide services for bigger companies. And she said, oh, nobody was catering for the small and medium scale companies in terms of, providing softwares for them to keep their accounts, making sure that they have proper accounting records and stuff. And today, Chioma has grown so big that she has even affiliate marketers who are buying her softwares to go and deploy to other businesses where she cannot reach. And what you also get to see is anytime there is something to maybe an event or something, these are people that can easily come to the minds of the event planners because they are always in our face. They didn't just choose to be a nuisance and just be in our face, but they were providing value. They were doing something extraordinarily different that makes people easily remember them. Then Ugo, I'm sure maybe a few or every one of us here knows him. He's the founder of Nairametrics. What did he do? Those financial analysis that we can easily also do. What he started doing was to do the analysis, put it like on a blog that he has created for his business. So sometimes we are not quite sure about figures, maybe the budget or whatever it is, some deeper figures and deeper analysis. People just go to Nairametrics to get those information. So basically, and then as well, when I was looking at all that Taiwo has been able to do, part of the things I saw is that Taiwo is an internet personality. Google said that, I didn't say that. So what it means is that a chartered accountant who is in any other African country or even outside the country, when he Googles chartered accountant in Nigeria, it's possible that he's among the top 3 or top 5 that will appear. He didn't just gain that, gain that presence by just, working in PwC and do nothing else. He fought to be able to occupy his space where he is at the moment. So he's just simply saying, yes, we know that we can do a lot of things. We are very talented, but you just need to find different ways to do it. But then you see what happens in Nigeria. When one person is doing a particular thing, everybody wants to do the same thing. We don't always have to go the same route. Obviously, every one of us have to do different things. But what we're saying is that in whatever that different thing becomes what you're doing, you have to do it uniquely different so that you can stand out in that you do. So that when people are thinking of who does also think better, you should come to mind. That's basically what we're saying. I remember when our phones look like this one, where my mouse is moving to. Yes, there was a time that our phones were looking like this one. And then gradually our phones started looking like this one here. So I was trying to bring to us an example of companies who failed to innovate. So now it might look like, okay, we're talking about companies, but who knows, it might just be some accountant in the future who failed to innovate. Now, maybe when we qualified, we're looking like this Nokia 3310 or something, just accountant, because we're able to read and pass our professional exams and probably working in a smaller company or working in a big company. Your ability to transform from these ones to this one is about how you're able to pick up current trends and, change yourself. I know every one of us in one word that used Nokia phone. I also did. And today, Nokia is no longer there because why? They said they had a leadership that was not paying attention to change. They lacked vision. They were using technology that was not, in the current trend and all of that. So gradually, smartphones pushed them out and there's no more Nokia. But I'm sure that when Nokia was Nokia, everybody was using Nokia. If they were gradually innovating their features, using better softwares, upgrading their technology, maybe Nokia would have still have been able to take the space of Samsung or iPhone. Then you also see some phone technology that refused to innovate. You remember BlackBerry? Somehow, all of us, those days when you have a BlackBerry, you are like a big person because people will ask you for your BlackBerry PIN. But gradually, Apple threw them off the market because when Apple came with more latest technology, a lot of people dumped BlackBerry for Apple and other phone companies that gradually were able to upgrade their technology. Then this one is Motorola. Yeah, I'm sure some of us too remember this phone and we're able to use it. So they had challenges from innovating and managing their management issues and some other issues that they have. So you also see in my slide, I mentioned some other companies that fail to innovate. I'm sure my time is running. Sometimes when you want to send a mail, a corporate mail, and you send it through your Yahoo account, it won't deliver because maybe they do not have stronger security than other mailing companies or mailing app. So some of the challenges they had was that they failed at a lot of their acquisition attempts that they made across probably Microsoft and all of the other companies. So you see some of these companies that fail to innovate. Nobody hears about them anymore. So hopefully that we won't fail to change the way that we do things and upgrade the way that we are doing things. So where is the money? I'm sure everybody wants to know where the money is. While I was preparing for this slide, I said the money is online. I will explain. Majority of the things we do today are online. Like now, I'm in Anambra State and we are interacting with majority of people in Lagos and across the world. So money is online, utilize it. Healthy competition and collaboration. A lot of accountants are smart people, but maybe the challenge is you're looking at how older you are to the other accountant and you're failing to take advantage of the skills and potentials of the other accountant. So we're encouraging ourselves to collaborate and come up with new products and services. Innovative ideas, yes, that's where the money is in businesses. So gone are the days you say, oh, I'm a chartered accountant, I can't do business. Yes, you can do business. There's nothing wrong in doing business and making money from there. Then constant value addition. In fact, now, for you to even make one dime, you have to create value. You see those days where maybe one family will have like more than 2 or 3 cooks, but these days they've shredded it down to 1 person because majority of the equipment in the kitchen can pound yam, can, slice vegetables, can do a lot of things. So those work that you needed maybe 3 or 4 people to do in your kitchen, 1 person can do it. So you just find a way to make sure that you're constantly adding value, because that is where and how you can get the money. Where else, I will leave it open for our conversations when we get there, for our members who are already, in the scheme of things, to tell us the other places where the money is. So what do we need to do? What needs to change? We need to innovate. We need to have that change of mind, because I'm comfortable where I am. If I decided to remain where I was maybe 30 years ago, I'm not sure that the chairman and board of it will be looking for me to speak on this forum, which I also consider a very big opportunity, because I know there are 1,001 of us, but he felt, okay, oh, Madam Amara. And then I tell you what, the person who contacted me is maybe a member of the tax faculty, where I'm also a member of that faculty. So you obviously need to put yourself out there across ICAN, across other professional bodies, across whatever that is happening in the world of technology. Just put yourself out there. You never can tell in what capacity and in what way people will remember you. So your comfort zone is a great place, but nothing ever grows there. That is the honest truth. So what needs to change is that we need to innovate. We need to change the way and manner that we do things and carry on. But since they say questions will be at the end of the other presentation, I will just hold on for the other presenter. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Madam Amara, for that interesting presentation and the perspective on the topic, the global accountant. I'm sure benefited a lot from your talking points and perspective, and how they can make their practice or profession, go global. Thanks for the perspective you've shared. As in, I didn't want to more or less that break the line of thoughts. For those that, benefited a lot, kindly, of course, you can start seeing lots and lots of emojis in the chat box, speaking to, members enjoying, and following your line of traits. Apologies that we wouldn't be able to take questions now, because we are just trying as much as possible to get all presentation to run through. You will get your due appreciation once we're able to conclude with the second presenter. So for those of us with questions, I'm sure you can see from the screen the chats, the contact details of Madam Amara, in case you want to get in touch with her. Keep appreciating her, with your clapping emojis. If you've benefited a lot from, what she has shared, which I believe are nuggets that we need to more or less like live at and imbibe. It's not about more or less, it's not about, whatever you want to become. It's about how you equally even package yourself and then identify your audience. But we don't want to bore us, with what I've jotted down and all the other stuff I'm going to start experimenting, from all that I've jotted while listening to her. Let's graciously bring in our second presenter.
Okay, I'll stop sharing.
Yeah, you can stop sharing now.
Okay.
The slides will equally be, made available to all paid participants. And as we have equally recorded this session, I'm sure we can all run through what listing all over again, what we have heard. And if we need to more or less like do some extra study, we can do that and equally reach out to her. Let's continue to judge the questions. Once our second presenter is done with his presentation, we will take all the questions relating to question 1 and question 2. So our second presenter, Mr. Emmanuel Ogunjumo, FCA, will be talking to us on Nordic engagement issues and challenges. And while he prepped himself for that presentation, let me quickly run through his profile. He's a member of a fellow of our institute, and equally an associate member of the China Institute of Taxation. He holds a Master of Business Administration and equally a graduate of accounting. He's equally an associate member of China Institute of Stockbrokers, and he holds diploma in international financial reporting of ACCA, that's the Institute of Chartered Accountants on the global stage. I want to believe this is for England and Wales, but you can correct me once it comes on board with that. He's an experienced audit and regulatory professional with over 34 years post-certification experience in audit across various industries, which goes across financial services, oil and gas, agriculture, manufacturing. He's skilled in regulatory and independence compliance across functions within the audit and accounting space. He's a dedicated team leader, presently overseeing the work of a team engaged in monitoring independence and compliance within Deloitte's West Africa Quality, Independence, Risk, and Reputation unit, in addition to other functions. Join me to welcome Mr. Ogujumo Emmanuel Bile, and they will be presenting or delivering on the topic audit engagement issues and challenges. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mike.
You have 30 minutes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mike. Thank you, the chairman, for the opportunity. My senior colleagues and professional colleagues, thank you for the opportunity to do this presentation. And what we are looking at is audit engagement. What are the issues? What are the challenges? And what do we do? Well, because of the timing, we will only look at one side, and there's not much thing to do. The first side is audit engagement issue and challenges, then preventing issue and challenges in audit engagement. If time permits, we'll run through it, but it's already on the slides. We'll look at it. Let me read the precursor statement. Audit engagement are subject to numerous challenges, including maintaining independence, dealing with regulatory complexities, detecting fraud, adopting new technologies. Addressing these issues require auditors to continuously update their knowledge, which we are doing now, exercise professional skepticism, and maintaining high ethical standards. Audit firm must also invest in technology, training, and robust quality control system to overcome these challenges and deliver high-quality audits. So by my left-hand side, we have the issues that we're going to consider. And by my right-hand side, we have what are those things we need to do to prevent these challenges so that we are able to move forward comfortably. So we know we cannot do without all these regulatory bodies. So we have a lot of regulators' lens that we need to comply with. So the first thing is auditors' independence and objectivity. So what are the challenges? The challenge is that maintaining independence and objectivity is a key requirement in audit engagement, but it can be challenging when auditors have long-standing relationship with clients and when conflict of interest arise. And how do you maintain some of these things? Independence. One, there are so many, like with Deloitte, we have a department that monitors that, the deputy to the partners that manages it. So it's so long that all the audit team member, there must be documentation. If you are going to be part of audit team, you have to confirm that, look, do you have any relationship? Do you have anybody that is working there? Do you have financial interest in the entity? So all this must be documented, and it is not a crime to have it. But you need to let us know so that we'll manage it. If you have a spouse or a spousal equivalent who is the deputy managing director of an entity where we are going to audit, definitely there's going to be a conflict of interest. There will be a close relationship which must be managed. So except there are no, or if you have financial interest in the company or you have shares, and people always ask, oh, I have just ordinary 100 share. Maybe you have 100 units of share in First Bank. So you will say, this is not an issue. It's an issue because it could impact on the independence of the firm. So you need to declare it, because if you go to court and they say you have issue, so it's like you are auditing your own company. They will ask you in the court, are you a shareholder of this company? You will say yes. Irrespective of the lawyers and the court people do not want to know, oh, you just have 100 units out of how many billions. So they won't want to ask you, you have shares. So it's illegal. Your independence will be threatening. So your spouse is there and you have not declared it, And then on an annual basis, you must be declaring your independence that all our audit clients, I have no issues. I don't have financial interest. My relatives are not there. And if they are there, I have this relative that is there and at what level. So those are the things that are really challenging in maintaining. Then the pressure from clients or personal biases may compromise the auditor. So like I mentioned, if the relationship with them has been too long, and that is why, like all these public interest entities, they have stated that a number of years now that you need to stay there. If a partner is there for 5 years, they need to rotate out, or at maximum by 7 years, so that they will not have personal conflict of interest because of close relationship that could cause bias or make it impartial. So another thing that could that could cause an issue is offering non-audit services like consulting to audit. So that could jeopardize auditors' independence and objectivity. So when you are doing an audit, maybe a consulting work that they are paying you 50 million and the audit is 15 million. So there's no way your independence will not be threatening. Even though some of our professional colleagues do say, oh, I'm not, we have Chinese work, this different team. But as far as the court or any other individual or people are concerned, it's the same firm. So the thing is, at what point do we cut off from doing consulting, tax, advisory, or other work where we are auditors? The second thing I would discuss is complex regulatory environment. Audit firm must comply with a multitude of regulation and standard, like international standard on auditing, Sarbanes-Oxley, local gaps, IFRS. So these regulators, every now and then, I monitor PCAOB in the office. So I belong to the members because the Deloitte firm, they have a global team. So, and every day they meet. Every day there are newsletters. There are things that need to be circulated. So as soon as they send to us, we distribute so that people will get knowledge. They are updating it and updating it. They keep updating this thing. So failure to keep update with regulatory changes can lead to non-compliance, incorrect audit opinion. So those are some of the issues. An example is auditing complex financial instruments such as derivative, cryptocurrency, and all those. So there are issues that auditors face. Then we have quality of financial reporting and disclosure. So disclosure and reporting is becoming something else these days. So how do we guarantee those disclosure? Full disclosure, note to the financial statement, disclosure issues, auditors management report, current reporting issues. So I may not be able to go through all of them because of the short time that we have, but this will definitely be circulated to all of us. If financial information is incomplete, inconsistent, or misrepresented, it can result in incorrect audit opinion. So some of these challenges we have is getting accurate information from clients. And that's why you see in those days, auditors do say that, look, we'll prepare the audits. We'll prepare the financials. But when it started having issue, when the Financial Reporting Council raised an issue and you go there to defend, the client will be telling the Financial Reporting Council, auditor, you prepare this thing for us, which is wrong. Even though it is their own, they should own it. But because auditors want to have guarantee on the figures, so they sometimes prepare. But now we are leaving the preparation to the client. And so if they prepare wrong thing, there's no way you can audit all the figures and you sign. So you will have been misrepresented and you could sign. Then there's risk of fraud. Identifying fraud is one of the most difficult tasks during an audit, especially where we have fraudsters, where we have people that don't have integrity. So fraudsters may use sophisticated scheme to manipulate financial statements, making it hard for auditors to detect, especially where we have collaboration. So it's difficult, even if you have controls, it will be difficult for you to penetrate collaboration within the auditors, internal auditors, marketers, and the people in the system. So that's one of the issues auditors are facing. Auditors may not always be able to detect material misstatement due to fraud, which can lead to significant financial losses. Then, example, in cases like Enron, WorldCom, fraud was perpetrated through complex financial structure they've hidden a lot of things. Some of I can see some elderly members in the forum during those years when we have auto-dancing and Enron, all those issues that took away auto-dancing from big 8, it became big 5 and whatever. So those are the things that could create issue. Then data integrity and IT system. We all know that in these days now that we have technology, that technology is taking care of everything. There is no way, if you don't have an expert auditor, that is IT audit, to assist the auditors to be able to probe and to audit the system, you may be signing a wrong figure and there could be a significant misstatement. As companies increasingly rely on technologies, auditors must assess the reliability and the security of IT system used for financial reporting. Auditing IT system, it requires specialized skill. So that's another challenge. The person that is now an auditor. So these days now, we have people who are trained. And like Amara said, if you're an auditor, you need another extra skill to be able to do this. So people are doing CISA and other professional body so that you can be IT guru, so that you'll be able to do it, not looking for another person that doesn't have audit background to be able to help you. If the integrity of the company IT system is compromised, it then means there will be an issue. The accuracy of the financial data can be questioned. Auditor may struggle to obtain adequate assurance on data processed by complex systems. So if they don't have experts, so that's why sometimes when you are doing audit, they will ask you whether an expert opinion is required. So you take them along and you have to synchronize their working paper to your own so that you will be able to say, look, I don't have expert there, but I've engaged an expert. So where there is cyber security breaches, poor access control, or outdated system can lead to errors or manipulation of financial records. Auditing estimate. Auditors are often required to evaluate management estimate and judgment, such as asset valuation, impairment testing, or provision for future liability. These estimates are inherently uncertain and so this estimate, we can't do without being conclusive, being estimation. Like when you have an estimate, maybe impairment now. What if a valuer did a report and another one did a report on the same subject matter? They will have different assumptions and they will not exactly give you the same figure. Well, some of them may give you near figure, but how will the auditor know that this is the perfect one? And so it's an estimate. So we have to be careful and engage professional. If auditor fail to appropriately challenge management testing, so that is one of the things we need to do. If they make estimate, we need to challenge it. Not that we just take it like that and integrate it into the system. We need to challenge it. While we are challenging it, we'll be able to come out and convince ourselves that yes, the figures is true. Auditing goodwill impairment or pension obligation require careful scrutiny of assumption used by management, such as discount rate and future cash flow projection. So you cannot be certain. If you project and you didn't probe it properly, it might be difficult for you to scope out what is wrong. The other major things that we have that is an issue and challenges in audit, audit team often face tight deadline because some of these clients, when we look at financial institutions now, like banks, the central bank has said that all their year end should be 31st of December for their own purpose. And auditors have 5 or 6 banks to report on. So they have tight budget, and these clients, they will not give you the information in good time for you to be able to start your planning, to be able to do it, to be able to audit it, and it can lead to a rush in audit because they want to maintain them. They don't want to displease them. So there will be insufficient documentation or reliance on junior staff. And this time that some of the staff say that they are traveling out. So you will now have a junior staff, maybe a manager has just resigned. You now have a junior staff or senior to come and take an emergency work. So how do we guarantee that what he's going to do, he has the adequate experience to do it? Lack of adequate time and resources. So times and resources are required. And we are finding now that most of the firm, they are not having adequate time to be able to audit. and give opinion that will not be material, there will not be material misstatement on the audit file. When auditors have to perform audit during the condensed time frame, e.g. their busy period, the quality of work may suffer. The quality will suffer if they collapse all audit and they don't have adequate staff and resources to prosecute the audit, increasing the risk of material misstatement. So the next one that we're looking at is client pressure and expectation. There is client pressure. Client, when they give you an audit, schedule and all the documentation today, the next day they are asking you for their report that you need to sign up. You need to sign up. So we need to know how to control them. Client may exert pressure on auditor to issue favorable opinion, reduce audit fee, or limit the scope of the audit. This can put auditor in a difficult position. Yielding to client pressure can compromise audit. So whatever we are doing, and that's why some of the things in ICAN that has penciled down their fee, that look, once your fee from a single client is more than a certain percentage of your total revenue, it needs to be looked into, because of the revenue and because of the fact that you are in business, your independence may be compromised, and the client will be putting pressure on you to do what you know that is not right. So we should look into that. Yielding to client pressure can compromise audit independence. In highly competitive market, audit firm may feel compelled to lower fee. Like we've seen these days, a lot of our professional colleagues, they reduce audit fee to nothing, even when they know the cost. And once you are reducing audit fee to nothing, an audit fee that you say you get 300,000 as audit fee, even no matter how small it is, do you look at the time, what is the charge out rate? It then means you are even planning to do something wrong from the beginning. Complexity in the group audit. We know that group audits could be so complex sometimes, like doing an audit in different jurisdictions, and the same time not having the same firm as the auditor, both to the subsidiary and the holding company. So auditing large multinational groups or conglomerates can be complex due to the need to coordinate with multiple component auditors. So, and sometimes they could have different year ends. We may have one that may have 31st of March, then the holding may have 31st of December. So there are a lot of issues that could arise. The financial statement component, audit of financial information adopted, risk-based significance. Also, a lot of things come into play. Miscommunication or lack of coordination between the component auditor and the group auditor can result in inconsistencies or gap in the audit. Auditing a global corporation with subsidiary in different countries also may require reliance on, so you may require you to rely on local auditors, and you have not even reviewed the document. So those are the things that must be adequately provided for before the commencement of the audit. The other one we look at is evolving technologies. Like we all know now, technology is almost everything. Before 2020, no one had believed that, look, we could do anything from anywhere. So now that technology or AI, okay, blockchain, like some people will be telling me during when this man died, the group MD of Access Bank, they said when a lot of people are crying, they are not crying for the man, that the man died. A lot of them, they said they were crying because all this blockchain and this kind of keeping money in some places, he has the key to the place. He has the numbers. So, and now the man is gone. How would they get the number? That is some of the reason people claim they are claiming. So adopting new technologies such as AI, blockchain, data analytics is transforming business landscape, and auditors must understand these technologies to assess their impact on the financial reporting and internal control. Lack of experts in emerging technology may result in ineffective procedures. So we need to have experts within us. If you know you cannot pay for it, so you need to go and attend training, you need to participate, you need to write whatever exam to be members of those CISA and whatever technologies that to develop your business. Auditor may struggle Auditor may struggle to evaluate transactions recorded on blockchain, as the technology is still relatively new. We know it's new, but if you don't have the capacity to do it, you may not be able to audit it, and you'll be giving a wrong opinion. So we are coming to the end. Communication of key audit matters. Like we know, it is a requirement that at the end of your audit, you may need to communicate key audit matters. But we're finding out that these management are putting pressure and influence on auditors on what they should communicate on all what they should pass to the management, to the owners, to the shareholders, and the board. Auditors must communicate key audit matters in their report, highlighting area of high risk or complexity, determine which issue to include. How to communicate them effectively can be challenging. So it can be challenging saying that, oh, this is what you will need to put, this is what we are not, to say that, oh, this is material, this is not material, because they are not going to look at in terms of figures, but in terms of how does it impact the audit and the company, if it is there, if it continues. So what are the matters that should be raised? Poorly communicated camps can confuse stakeholders. And you know, thank God that some of these things these days, the Financial Reporting Council, they have made part of the requirement for people to be member of audit committee, board committee. They have made them to be experienced people that have knowledge in accounting, in management, so that unlike in those days when they can just appoint anybody, so that some of these technical matters you discuss with them, they will just bamboozle them and they don't know. So, but now, if you want to be a member of audit committee, the chairman of board, there are criteria that they need to have. Sustainability, and this is the last one on this page, sustainability and ESG audit. There is increasing demand for audit related to environmental, social, and governance factor, which may require specialized knowledge. This environmental thing, governance and social, is because there are a lot of requirements. Like if I want to mention now, how do we measure the exhaust that manufacturing companies are producing, and what is the level that they should be generating, like Coca-Cola, 7-Up, all these, their generator, what is putting into the air. When we go to advanced country, their air is so clean, but when you come here, people will just here and there be using generator and be polluting the environment, and nobody is there to measure that, okay, you have the quantity of, this is the quantity of carbon that you can generate. You can't generate more than this. And once it's generating more than that, what is defined? Nobody is measuring it. And people are polluting the air. So we need the auditors, they need to more knowledge and skill on this, so that they won't just be doing the traditional auditing. Auditor may not be fully equipped to assess ESG risk or verify sustainability claim, which are becoming more important to stakeholders. Auditing a company's carbon footprint or supply chain ethics may involve verifying non-financial data that is difficult to measure. Like all those things, it's difficult to measure. But even in the country that we have, like in the advanced country, they do measure, they do give them rate, and they do, some regulator measure what they use, unlike this area. So these are significantly major issues and challenges facing the audit, apart from some of the one like that the staff are going, and then the timing of the audit and the competition that we have. So I wouldn't want us to go into, we will only replicate the other side, the other side of it, which is the opposite side of what we are looking at, which is one, ensure how do we prevent this issue? I can just run that in 5 minutes, then I will hand over to the moderator. Preventing issues and challenges in audit engagement. Auditors should ensure independence and objectivities. Then we should stay updated with regulatory changes. So like myself, I think I subscribe to PCAOB and IFAC. So I get updates every day. Once there is so I receive those mails, and once there is the one that I need to push to all the audit team, we need to send it around that there is a new development. Even if the date of implementation is not now, we need to know. We need to know the steps to take. So updates, stay updated with regulatory challenges, improve financial reporting and disclosure, then strengthen fraud detection procedure, and ensure integrity of IT system and data. Before you do audit, always ensure the integrity of the IT system that you are going to audit. So if you can't do it, you engage IT expert to do it for you, to make sure that the integrity of the IT, because if you don't do that, that is an issue for the auditor. Then audit estimate and judgment should be carefully reviewed. All the estimate and judgment should be carefully reviewed. Manage time and resources. Well, there's nothing we can do into this, but we need to still work on the timing and the resources, because like the CBN that say all the banks should make their year end 31st December. So if you have many clients in the banking industry, so you have to plan your staff very well so that there won't be pressure as to what there may lack of resources and timing to do the audit. Address client pressure and expectation where you need to address client pressure. Engage more experienced personnel so that clients will not put pressure. If you are putting a senior one, audit senior of 2 years, 3 years, to go and be reviewing board minute of meetings and discussing with the MD. So there's no way there will not be pressure and there will not be overbearing on the individual that is doing the audit. So improve coordination in a group audit. Well, I've put this one here. We can see it. We can look at it. Embrace emerging technology. So what we are saying now is that, look, we cannot run away from technologies. Yes, please.
We are not seeing your slides anymore.
Again. Oh.
Yeah. I think once you move on to you try to move them to a browser and we couldn't see afterwards.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know the share. Can we see it now?
See it again now. Yeah.
Oh, apologies. So, okay, I think I'm here. Improve coordination in group audit. So we need to improve the coordination, embrace emerging technologies. So like I said, technology is not things we should shy away from now. It's something we need to invest. If we want to prevent the challenges and issues, we need to invest in technologies so that we'll be ahead. Then effective communicates the key audit matters. Then prepare for ESG, sustainability audit. So ESG and sustainability is what we need to prepare for. There is no way, because it's new development now. We are coming into it. So we must prepare for it. So you will have the slide. So I think that is the presentation. Thank you. I do appreciate. So we can take the question together with Amara's presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So you have the floor.
For that wonderful presentation. I'm sure our members find it enlightening and interesting. We have Mr. Ogujimo's contact. Let's show appreciation, through the emojis on the chat box. Thanks for that wonderful presentation. So we are now in the question and answer session. For those of us with questions, because our time is fast spent, we wouldn't want to keep our members longer than necessary here. We can only accommodate 5 questions for this time. So if you have questions to ask, simply signify by raising up your hands and we'll give you the mic. If you are not able to speak wherever you are, you can type your questions in the chat box and I will do the honors to read it out to the facilitator. If you are asking with your voice, kindly once your mic is turned on, please indicate with your name, your membership number, and who your question is directed to among our facilitators, and we'll probably be able to take it up from there. So we'll use the next 5 minutes, to accommodate those 5 questions. Yeah, while the questions are coming, this is to let you know that the session is being recorded, and all the recording will be sent to all of us that are on this call, the paid webinars, those that are unable to attend as well. And the slides from the presenters will be shared with us as well. Are we saying we don't have questions for our presenters, and we were so overwhelmed by their presentations that we don't have questions for them now? Okay, I see one question.
Mr. Michael, I expect questions from my presentation, because one of the things I want to hear is how do we innovate what we currently do, or how do we collaborate? Some of those questions that can help us to take action. Thank you.
Okay, I've seen a hand raised. Mr. Olaide Oshukoya, before you answer the question, I think the question is directed at Mr. Ogunjumo from the chat box. In case fraud is collaborative, how can you detect this? Do you want to take that, Mr. Ogunjumo, before I allow Mr. Oshukoya to ask his question? Or you want to note it? Let's see if Mr. Oshukoya's question, is in either to you or to our second presenter. Mr. Olaide Oshukoya, you have the floor. Kindly unmute yourself to ask your question. Introduce yourself.
Yeah, good morning.
Facilitators you are directing the questions to.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Chairman and my co-professionals and the presenter, Mrs. Amara and Mr. Ogun. I really appreciate for your presentation. It's very innovative. Now, let me start with Mrs. Amara. You said how do we innovate and how do we integrate with other people? Now, most of us that are in practice, we need to segregate this thing properly for us to understand. Like, for example, some of us as clients, most of the example I always see when it comes to training, they always refer to bank, Dangote. We are not referring to all those importers that brought the AC in Alaba, and they are doing turnover like 2 billion naira, 1 billion. The rice importers that are in Daleko market, that are in Onisha market, that are doing a turnover about 600 million, 800 million. How do you cooperate these people into this system? Because most of them, I have a client, he has been operating for 40 years. When I told him to let's computerize the system, he said, okay, all these things you are talking about is a cost. I've been running this business. He has about 4 outlets. He has been running on a daily basis. He got his information that he needed through the WhatsApp. And I said, no, madam, let's put in somebody, an internal auditor, that will help you to checkmate operational activity. He said, no, bros. I've been doing. In fact, when it comes to business, they always call him to come and talk to business women inside the market. And these are the people, informal sector are the one growing Nigerian economy now. They are one great economy. I have international Alaba market is there, trade fair is there, what do we call it, building material market. These guys are doing turnover nothing less than 1 billion naira annually. And when we come to these innovations, they were not ready because of the government policies and influence over their business. That is one. And secondly, Mr. Gumon, on the issue of audit engagement, some of us that engage in this SME, SME, they are too small and medium. They are small. They are small in terms of structure. They are not small in terms of turnover. But some of them hide the turnover angle, but they are not small in terms of turnover. Structure, they are small. In medium, they are medium. In turnover, they are not medium. So all these people, when you come to the issue of engagement, you have to speak their language in order to communicate well with them. And they are one-man business. They are limited ability. Wife, children, husband, they are just there at the structure. So when we want to do, how do we make sure that these people are in line with all these ISL we are doing, all these financial reporting standards, that they can also help us to help them in the business? Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Oshukoya. So if I get your questions, you want Mrs. Amara, Amara to address the issue of innovations when the client is not inclined towards innovation.
Yes.
And the question to Mr. Ogunjumo, can you go over that again?
No, I took it. I took the question.
Okay,
Don't worry.
you got his question. No
Yes,
problem.
yes.
Thank you. I think we have 2 questions now.
3.
So to Mr. Ogunjumo, there is a question on the chat box that asks if, in case fraud is collaborative, how do you detect it? And then you take on the question.
So let me just take that with the other one that they just asked now. Issue on fraud. Once there is collaboration, even in auditing and investigation that we do in those days, it's challenging. Once there is collaboration, because once there is segregation of duty, and there's one that's supposed to be checking on the other, let's take an instance now. Someone is supposed to be preparing bank reconciliation. The other person that is the supervisor supposed to be checking it. Then the person that is depositing money at the bank and then giving the teller to someone else. So if these 3 people colluded, there is little or nothing you could do at that point. The only control you can have is when you are doing your analytical thing and the other balances you are being checked. So for once there is collaboration in fraud, there's limitation to what you can do, especially in the immediate system, to be able to get it. Eventually, you may get the link from somewhere else that this thing is not jiving, this thing is not correct. Then you can now investigate. But once there is collaboration, it beats internal control. If the 3 of them agree, then on the SME that my brother just asked now, you know, even in IFRS, there is IFRS for small and medium scale. So, and like you said, that we should speak their language. Let us not to be theoretical. Let us now be practical. We are in business. So we need to manage them. And we too need to find a way, like Amara mentioned, if we add value to what they are doing, it is at that point that they will now see that, you mean this thing that you have done is the one that made me to have this. So we too should be somehow innovative in their business. We should understand their business and see in what way can we, because we believe that we have more knowledge. So we should study their business and bring their business to us and see how we can help them to add value to what they are doing. And once we do that, then they will start relying on us and we will still be giving them more light. That's what. So for reporting purposes, IFRS has a minimal thing that you need to do. Even when you are starting audit, if it's not a big, even if they have money, big revenue, there's a turnover that defines SME. So if they have passed that limit of the revenue, they are no longer SME, even though they are SME. But we know, according to Financial Reporting Council, they know that, look, once you pass this level of revenue, you are in the other side. So we too should add, that's what I would say in conclusion, we should add value to what they are doing. Then they will be coming back to us.
Thank you, sir, for that perspective.
Thank you, Mr. Emmanuel. In fact, you have practically even answered the question that was directed to me. Mr. Latishe, sorry, you were saying something.
Yeah, I wanted you to add, there is another question on the chat box.
Okay.
Someone asked, so you can take that along with Mr.
Go ahead, sir.
Question.
Yes, sir. What was the question in the chat box?
How
The
do
one
I
that says, how do I become a YouTuber and a content creator? Okay.
Do you get that?
Yeah, yes, I did. I'm seeing it in the chat. But let me also quickly throw more words into the answers that Ms. Emmanuel gave the person who asked question towards my presentation. Now, in fact, that question is a practical question. If we're able to tackle it, if you're able to get it right, we might possibly be able to get other things around our consultation right. Now, maybe let's take, for example, that you are talking to somebody who imports in containers, 80 feet to 120 feet and all of that. And in fact, he's like a consultant at the market for other importers and exporters. There might possibly be nothing that you will tell him that he will listen. But when you ask that question, and the second presenter was trying to answer you, I was just thinking, maybe the only thing you're telling that to your client is, let's bring technology to your business, or I can't remember the specific words that he used, let's go digital or so. But then what you should do, if this is a practical question, is look at the lines of activities of that business. Look at the lines of activity, the warehousing, the financial aspect, the importing aspect, the time lags, just look at all the possible line activities of that business and find a way to improve on them. Now, when you bring those improvement proposals, which is like value propositions, when you bring it, he will look at it, and then don't forget that when you are bringing those improvements, he wants to see the money figure. He wants to see the money aspect of it. Say you're trying to move him from 40 million or 80 million to 120, 150 million. He wants to see it. And then maybe you too, as an accountant or as a consultant, can now say, okay, can I take 20 or 30% of the improvement I'm about to bring from, let's assume that the guy is making 80 million in a year, and the propositions you are bringing is capable of taking him from 80 to 120. Can you take a certain percentage of the difference? So you obviously have to bring specific values that a man can almost see and feel. If you're telling him, let's go digital, what he's hearing in his mind is, let's spend money. I know business people don't like to spend money. So you obviously have to show him where the monies are in the course of trying to help him to innovate. And then he has to agree, because if he's seen that he's capable of making 120 as against the current 80 that he's making, he will listen. So you need to look at the line of activities of your client or that particular business owner and supply, bring value to each of those activities. And he must be able to see it or practically even feel it for him to agree, you know. Hopefully I've been able to throw more light on that. Then somebody says, how do I become a YouTuber and a content creator? If that's what you want to do full-time as an accountant, or part of your side hustles is not hard, say for example, something always comes to your mind, something that you love to do that you don't find difficult to do. You could be talking, you could be cooking, it could be, in fact, I know a chartered accountant, not just an accountant. She read BSc accounting, she did ICAN, and I think she has her ACC, if I'm correct, that she's a full-time content creator around culinary, whatever. She was a person who interviewed one of the top people that came to Nigeria on all those health conferences and stuff. So if that's what you want to do, not because of this presentation, but what you find passion, because you know you doing it is not easy. You have to find the electricity all the time to be able to record your content. You have to find the gadget. You have to be in the right frame of mind at all times to, you know, dish out your content. It involves a lot. It's not as easy as it sounds. Then if you're quite sure that you want to do it, it might just start from your kitchen if you're a woman, or it might just start from it could be anything that you have passion about. It could be cars, forgetting that you're a chartered accountant, you could talk about anything. And before you know it, you just become like a global voice in that sector. So how you start is just to say, what do I love to talk about most that you don't get tired about? Or what do you love to do most that you can't ever get bored on doing? Then that's it. That should be the focal point of you starting. Then how do you start? You need a computer, you need gadgets, to the tripod, you need your lights, you need a good environment, you need constant electricity. So you have to think of all of these things and then put them together. And then you start. And probably when you start, one of the places where you should look for your visibility to is your district society. Always bring a link of your content to your district to watch, go back and subscribe, tell their friends to subscribe on your behalf. And before you know it, you're where you want to be. It's as simple as that. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Amara, for that response. Colleagues, our time is fast spent. We won't be able to take more questions, but if you still have further questions that need to send across to the facilitators, you can send them to the email that notified you of today's webinar, and we'll collate those questions, send them across to the facilitators, and once we receive their response, we'll send them back to you as well. So we'll now bring on our district technical secretary, who has an announcement as it relates to the district activities. Alhaji Isaka Balogun, over to you, sir. Okay, sorry, he's muted. Let me unmute him. You can unmute yourself, sir. Alhaji Balogun.
I said good afternoon. Okay, good afternoon, sir. I thank all our participants and our facilitator for giving their time for us. I thank you all. My announcement are just two. Number one, we thank all our participants that have been participating with us for our this year, presidential year. Yeah, we thank you for participating with us. And all newcomers, we are expecting you to join us. Our district, you can join us at anywhere you are in part of the world, you can join us. Our meeting comes up second Saturday of every month. And our webinar, we promise you the last Saturday of every month shall come with a new and a wonderful speaker every month. So we appeal to all of you to join us and participate with us. And to compare what we pay and what we give to you is more than the value of what we give to you is more than what you are paying. But we'll still thank you for that. So if you want to join us, if you are not in Lagos, you can join us remotely. We do our meeting hybrid. So, and even in our technical session, there's a wonderful topic every time as well. As we are enjoying our webinar, you see us on the technical session as well. So next month, we see welcome all of you. We thank you for taking your time to join us. And we are sorry if you have engaged in any each in the journey, the meeting so far. Please be sorry for all that I go through. We shall improve on it. What next? We are holding the technical session and the webinar. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate you all. My committee, I appreciate you all. The chairman and the co-technical committee. We thank you all. Thank you for the journey. Bye, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, sir, our technical secretary, Alhaji Isaka Balogun FCA, for that announcement. I'll be doing the honors of giving vote of thanks to our facilitators and members, and to thank all that have supported this month's successful hosting of ICAN Amuwo and District Society monthly webinar. So on behalf of ICAN Amuwo and District Society, I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed facilitators in the person of Mrs. Onyeka Amara Kate and Mr. Emmanuel Ogunjumo. Yeah. Apologies if I bothered the name, for sharing their expertise and insight with us. Your contributions have been quite invaluable, and we appreciate the time and effort you've taken to prepare and present your topics. To our attendees, thank you for your active participation through your payments and being active on the platform as well with your questions and appreciation. Your presence has made this event a success, and we are grateful for your interest in the topics that are presented by our facilitators. The Chartered Accountant and Global Visibility by Mr. Onyeka Amara Kate, and audit engagement issues and challenges by Mr. Emmanuel Ogunjumo. We hope you found the sessions informative and enlightening. We would like to express appreciation to the organizing committee, the technical committee, and all those behind the scenes who supported and worked tirelessly to make and ensure the smooth execution of this webinar. Your dedication and hard work are truly appreciated. Thanks you once again, and we look forward to hosting you all during our next month's webinar event. As we gradually wind down now, before we take our national anthem and closing remarks, any word from our chairman to us?
Thank you, Mr. Michael Atish FCA. I mean, what I just want to say is a big thank you. I mean, we are still about 58 of us online, and that shows the rapt attention our members are paying and the value they're getting from webinars. So to our facilitators, once again, a big, big thank you to you. We are really, really grateful. And to Madam Amara, I would say up swan, as I usually say to the female folk in the ICAN body. So thank you, everyone, and keep it a date with us at ICAN Amuwo and the Society. Like I said earlier, all our programs will be channeled to our respective email addresses so we can continue to engage and grow our cerebral impacts. Once again, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Latishe.
Okay, thank you, Chairman, for that closing remark. So we'll now end the session with the ICAN anthem, closely followed by the national anthem. So ICAN anthem.
Let's go, I can found of treasure in triumph of an race, standing stronger in harmony, building a land together. Dreams of a founding fathers, we are striving to attain our dreams and values that we share through all ages be sustained. Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, noble ICAN, your accuracy we cherish. We uphold your integrity.
Thank you, everyone, for participating in this month's webinar. We appreciate your time. You can unmute yourself while we round up with the recording and greet ourselves. Be rest assured that your MCPD credit hours will be credited to you before the end of the week. And the slides and recording of this session will be made available to you as well so that you can go over it again. And if you have questions, the contact details of our facilitators will be made available via their The materials will be shared, and you can reach out to them or through the district for any other clarification. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Please have fun and relax before we commence the new week. Signing out from here. Goodbye, all.
Thank you so much, Mr. Michael Chef FCA. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you so much.
Thanks
Thank
so
you,
much,
everyone.
our chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.